Welcome back to the Verbo 2021 Virtual Partners Summit. As travelers dream about taking their next vacation with families and friends, helping turn those dreams into a reality is more important than ever. You can grow revenue during peak booking season by taking simple steps to ensure your Verbo listings bring high-value travelers to your door. You're going to learn what pricing strategies and listing content can inspire travelers to decide when to book with you over your competition. Today is all about optimizing your revenue performance and listings. I'm Jordan Locke, the Partner Revenue Performance Manager for Vacation Rentals here at Expedia Group. What I do here is help vacation rental partners earn more revenue. I'm working to educate vacation rental managers on revenue management and improving the tools we provide you to do so. And this is Julia.
Hi there, my name is Julia Longley and I'm a Senior Account Manager for our Integrated Property Managers here at Verbo. My role is to help our partners optimize their listings to increase revenue and bookings on our site.
So, as more and more people begin to travel again, it's important to ensure you have the right pieces in place to be successful. Today we want to share with you our Big 4 recommendations for optimizing revenue and listings on the Verbo marketplace. These are 4 categories of actions and behaviors that influence your performance. If you're doing well in each of these categories, then you're in a good position to succeed. When you think about the first item, optimizing revenue performance, what comes to mind? Do you think about increasing bookings, having your properties occupied more often, how high or high-low your rates are? What's important is to optimize revenue for each booking so that you can maximize your returns. No one wants to leave money on the table. Every extra dollar you earn can help you reinvest in the business, do renovations, acquire new properties, or hire additional staff. If your goal is to optimize revenue performance, there's a lot you should be thinking about. And that's because revenue management is changing. Just as travel has changed, the pandemic has accelerated change with revenue management tech and practices. Revenue leaders have had to rethink their approach. Today's revenue leaders need to reconsider how much demand there is, how is the market performing on future dates, how much supply remains and how much demand remains. Are your prices competitive to the other homes offering similar value and experience? And are you offering exceptional value? The challenge is, that's a lot to think about, which is why it's increasingly important for today's leaders to lean into data and technology and predictive analytics to make decisions that grow revenue. Tech helps us cut through the data and make sense of it. At Expedia Group, we know we can help. Being a global travel company with a suite of brands, we attract millions of travelers who book on our platform to purchase vacation rentals, hotels, cars, flights, and lots more. And that means we have an extensive data warehouse about how travelers shop and how they book. Pairing technology with powerful insights, our tools can help operators confidently make more informed decisions for their business that grow revenue. One of those tools we've developed is Market Maker. Market Maker is a pricing and revenue performance solution available for free within the Verbo dashboard. The mission behind Market Maker is simple. We want to democratize revenue performance insights so that anyone can make well-informed decisions that grow their revenue. In fact, properties that regularly use Market Maker have made over $240 million in additional revenue over the past 12 months. Our models use unique data that only Expedia Group has, and because it's free, it's a revenue management solution you can use all by itself, or layer on top of a paid tool you already use, making it useful for single homeowners and complex operators alike. We're focused on actively building and improving Market Maker so that it meets today's and tomorrow's revenue performance needs. Over the coming slides, I will share with you some basic principles for how partners are rethinking their approach to optimize revenue performance. Over the past 18 months, demand has become increasingly variable, and it's not very relevant anymore to just use historical data to predict what's going to happen next. The pandemic taught us that we really need to pay more attention to what is happening right now and what the data signals is going to happen next. We have to be proactive. This thinking forward mindset has become critical for partners that we speak with that are really being successful. For example, have you ever said to yourself, I want to know which dates travelers are searching for in my market? Of course you have. Because if you knew the dates travelers were searching for now, you'd be able to make more informed decisions about future stay dates. For instance, in the top image from Market Maker here, we see a yellow line which indicates the current search demand for upcoming dates in 2021. And we see a blue line which indicates the search demand over those dates in 2020. Demand is much greater this year, but that's not much of a surprise. But what else does this data tell us? We can see bumps of higher demand in the yellow line on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. It's clear there's more demand for weekends. So how do these data insights inform our decisions? It helps us to spot demand patterns. If you know that most travelers are searching on weekends, you can hold or increase your rate on those dates. The data also tells you that you may need to be more creative to fill in the middle of the week. Maybe it's time to adjust price or pull some marketing levers to gain more visibility on weekdays. Whether you're spotting patterns like weekday pricing or identifying shifts in behavior like more travel this year than last, this type of data helps you take action. You'll be more confident positioning your price by day of week or seasonality, adjusting stay restrictions, or boosting visibility to reach the right travelers at the right time. The vacation rental industry saw a strong 2021, but in 2020, demand patterns were changing fast. If you weren't paying attention to search demand and spotting demand patterns, then you likely missed out on revenue as travel picked back up. In order to be prepared for the unknown of tomorrow, you had to stay on top of search demand today. So we've looked at what dates travelers are searching and what dates they are booking, but as a revenue leader, you also want to anticipate future demand. You know where the market is at, but you want an estimate of where the market will finish at. One way to anticipate how much demand is still in front of us is by comparing how occupied the market currently is versus how occupied the market is estimated to be. It lets you know what's still out there. Let's say current market occupancy on August 30th is 50%, and the forecasted occupancy is 60%. In this scenario, can you expect to be able to sell your property? Maybe not, as there's not much demand remaining to capture. By knowing this, you're in a better position to decide whether to adjust prices or hold firm. If the gap between current and forecasted occupancy is small, it's a signal you may need to deploy more aggressive pricing tactics to get your listing booked. Alternatively, if the gap between current and forecasted occupancy is large, it's an indication many travelers haven't booked yet. When using this data, it's important to consider other factors as well, such as the booking window, how your price compares to similar properties, and what's still available for sale. No matter what metrics you find helpful, taking a holistic approach ensures you put your best foot forward. We use historical data, seasonality, and current market trends to forecast bookings for the next 365 days in your market. At Expedia Group, we have global traveler data, such as search and purchase data. Using a data science algorithm which ingests a variety of Expedia Group data, along with market data from third-party solutions, we are able to estimate the current and future market occupancy with a level of confidence. And we regularly monitor the accuracy of this metric. If you know when guests are searching, you'll also want to know which dates are already being booked. Sometimes travelers search, but they don't book. We've all done this before. Search for a destination to get inspired for your next trip, or to get a feel for how much the trip might cost. Maybe you ended up taking the trip, maybe you didn't. So as a revenue leader, ask yourself, do you track the average occupancy of the competitors around you? That's how you know that search volume is materializing into actual bookings. When we ask partners how they're finding success, a common answer is that they track how busy their competition is. And our comp sets are created based on guest booking behavior. It assembles the list based on what other properties guests viewed or booked when they were looking at your property. It's similar to leakage in a retail market, or you can think of it as who's eating your lunch. And if the list isn't quite working for you, it's totally customizable. So how does this help? First, it helps you identify performance gaps. If you're outperforming your competition and have more confirmed bookings over the next 90 days, it could mean your strategy is working, or it could mean your property is selling faster than it should, and you could raise your rates and generate a little bit more revenue. If you're pacing behind the competition, then maybe the competition is offering better value, or maybe your rates are too high or your page ranking is too low. These insights help you take action to capture more business. Second, it helps you look both short and long term. Compare your occupancy performance for the next 30, 90, or 180 days using simple filters. See how you compare to the competition in each of these date ranges. What you find may surprise you and help to identify how you can tweak your approach. Now that we've talked about thinking forward, let's shift towards another approach partners are taking to increase revenue performance, which is being dynamic. It's important to be dynamic and use demand-based pricing. Right now, many operators still aren't being dynamic enough, and the pandemic didn't help this. When travel was paused, And in the markets where demand hasn't recovered, it's easy to turn uncertainty into inaction. The problem with this, of course, is that even if the market is slow, demand still fluctuates. And it's even more important to be smart with your rate plan when you're competing for even less potential guests in your market. As we all know, demand can change rapidly, so if you stop paying attention, you're likely going to miss out. One simple way to stay dynamic is by comparing your price to the booked and unbooked properties in your market. The average rate of booked properties tells you the rates travelers have already booked. You can use it to identify gaps in your pricing and understand if your current price strategy is aligned with current traveler purchase behavior. You can also identify price gaps versus unbooked properties. Unbooked properties are the ones still for sale that you're competing against for future guests. If you know the average price of properties still available, it helps you position your price based on the value you offer to capture any remaining demand. Simply check for gaps and take action where you need to. Comparing your price to booked and unbooked properties is also a great way to establish an entry price when you don't have any historical data. If you're opening a new property or entering a new market, use booked and unbooked rates to get a feel for how the market prices, how travelers respond, and at what price you're likely to book stays. Another way to be dynamic is to let technology identify rate opportunities for you. Maybe you don't have the time to review pricing, you're not sure what is right, or just want to consider other sources to supplement tools you already have. There are many reasons why technology can be helpful to spot opportunities. Let's say you already use another solution that provides rate recommendations to you. With Market Maker, you can leverage Expedia Group's unique data set to double check their suggestions and pick up on patterns that are specific to Expedia Group channels. It also helps you avoid missing out. Maybe you're not using technology at all right now to make pricing decisions. The problem here is that humans can't process data the way machines can. And for this reason, it becomes easier to miss out on opportunities where you could have maximized your revenue. Market Maker calls out pricing opportunities right on the calendar, so you can easily take action when needed. Our pricing recommendations factor in real-time supply and demand data, competitive rates of booked and unbooked properties, local events, our forecasted occupancy, booking lead times, and the historical property performance. The important takeaway is that technology can help you save time and make money, and we all should lean into it. It may sound counterintuitive, but you can also be more dynamic by simplifying your approach. If your tendency is to keep static or seasonal pricing, then being dynamic may seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to consume your time. There are some simple actions you can take by reviewing at-a-glance metrics. You can easily check how your rate or your occupancy compares to the competition. You can check price opportunities to know when market conditions changed and consider adapting your approach. And you can use tools that have multi-property views so it's easy to scan key metrics across your entire portfolio of multiple properties. If your current approach isn't dynamic, take these few simple steps to get headed in the right direction and learn what really works for you. The last item I want to touch on today is staying informed in order to stay ahead. The most successful revenue leaders make it a habit to stay informed. You can stay informed by regularly checking your rates and occupancy compared to the competition and make adjustments as needed. You can identify local events and holidays so you can price and pace accordingly before it's too late. And you can review opportunities as a quick way to not miss out on extra revenue. Optimizing rates only matter if you can get potential guests to your listing that want to book. The more potential guests you drive to your listing, the easier it will be to convert bookings at higher rates. So how do you do that? Julie is here to help.
Thank you, Jordan. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our presentation today. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Julia Longley, and I'm a Senior Partner Success Account Manager at Vrbo. And my role is to help our partners optimize their listings on our site. I'm here to provide you with some additional insights that's going to help improve your performance. The first thing that we should focus on is great content. Now you may ask, Julia, what is great content? Well, great content is about having an excellent product display page to help convert travelers. So how do you get great content? And that's going to be by focusing on photos, amenities, and having current relevant content and accurate rates. Now, a great example of content is high quality photos and high resolution pictures. You can add up to 50 amazing photos to your property to showcase all of its glory. Another important content is amenities. It's important to make sure that your listings have the amenities that travelers are looking for and that they're displayed and included on every Vrbo listing. You also need to stay competitive with your rates and utilize tools like Market Maker, and that's a really easy way to adjust your prices according to demand and season. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into these topics and start at the very top of the traveler funnel. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and your hero image is the first shot in grabbing the attention of a prospective traveler. Now you want to make sure you wow them with bright, colorful images that highlights the best features of the property. Now looking at these two hero images, which ones would you want to click on? I'm gonna say that the majority of you are gonna wanna click on the bottom photo. And that's just how it works. Great photos can showcase all your property has to offer. They can help create an emotional connection with travelers and help set expectations, which will lead to more bookings. Now, what about the other photos that you upload? You wanna make sure that you're uploading high quality photos. It's not just about quantity. It's also about quality. And so how do we define what quality photos are? Well, there are 6 key aspects to keep in mind. 1, balanced lighting, brightness, and contrast. Make sure that your properties and your photos look bright and powerful. High resolution, these need to be professional photos. Focus on wide angles that showcase the entire living space. Keep attention to the tiny details though. And don't just focus on interior photos, throw in some exterior images as well. And finally, one of the most overlooked features is captions. Add captions to every photos to tell travelers exactly what they're looking at. Now, images not only paint the picture of what a traveler vacation will be like, it also helps increase traveler trust. Travel trends show that more images you have on a listing, the higher conversion rates you're going to have. And while you can upload up to 50 images, we recommend having at least 30. Because in North America, properties with more than 30 photos generate 63% of the revenue in bookings. Now, if you have a studio apartment, it may be a little bit tricky to have 30 unique images. So what's the workaround for this? Include local photos of local attractions and things to do while visiting your properties. This will really, again, help paint the picture of what it's going to be like to go on vacation and stay at your listings. The partners that I work with will also often email me asking me why they're not getting any bookings on our site. And then I run an audit of all of their amenities, and sure enough, it's because they're missing out on some of the top used filters that travelers are using. On average, travelers use 7 filters when performing a search. And here are the top filters that are used on Vrbo around the world. If your listings don't include these, but have them, you're not going to be included in the search results. And you wouldn't believe in the number of times a partner forgets one of the big ones like internet and Wi-Fi. That's huge. Also, property type is another very, very important amenity type. I see a lot of partners trying to be fancy and use chalet or villa, when in reality, it's a house that they're looking for. 9.29% of searches on Vrbo in the last 365 days have included a filter for house. We want to make sure we're included in those search results. If your property is listed as a villa, you're not going to be included, and thus you're missing out on tons of opportunities. I had a partner that actually I began working with towards the end of 2019 in Utah, and after running some audits of their amenities, I realized that they were pretty bare. And I also noticed that they weren't optimizing the housing type as well for their listings. And together we did a complete overhaul of their amenities, and in the last 2 years, we have almost doubled the amount of booked revenue they have received on Vrbo. It's a pretty big step. While COVID has changed the way people travel and demands are shifting, when updating your content, don't just think about what your property has, think about what travelers are looking for. And that can change, so it's important to stay close to traveler preferences. 59% of families say they're more likely to drive instead of fly on their next trip. If you're in a drive-to destination, talk about how easy of a drive it is. Talk about how easy it is to park there. Do you have a driveway, a garage? Talk about it. 61% of families say they're more likely to visit an outdoorsy destination than an urban one. Quite frankly, I'm one of those people. If your listing is in an outdoorsy location, talk about all of the great outdoor activities your listing has to offer. And finally, travelers can work from home or even work while they are on vacation, and we have dubbed this trend Flexcation. And since Flexcation is such a popular option for travelers these days, mention the high-speed internet and the cozy nooks your property has to get work done during the day. It's also incredibly valuable to know your seasons. Personally, I'm a winter, but that really has nothing to do with the vacation rental industry. Understanding your peak season can really help you determine how you're going to be setting your rates. So your highest rates will be set for your peak season, your lowest rates will be in your off season, and your shoulder seasons, which are the seasons buffering your peak, will be around 60% of your peak season rates. And for more information on identifying peak seasons and how to adjust your rates accordingly, really be sure to utilize Market Maker tool in the Vrbo dashboard, as Jordan has mentioned. So what are the steps that you can take today to improve the content on your listings? And you guys might want to take a screenshot of this. First, your hero image is the key to getting clicks from search results. Select a well-lit, high-quality photo that best represents your property. Have at least 30 images uploaded to your listings. Include captions on all of your photos. Tell your travelers what they are looking at. Select all of the amenities possible for your listings. This will make sure that travelers find your listings in the search results. Promote all of the great features your property and destination has to offer in the headlines and descriptions. And finally, utilize Market Maker to understand your seasons and set competitive rates. Now, as an account manager, the first thing that I work on with my partners is getting them onto the Premier host. And personally, as a traveler, I prefer to stay at a Vrbo that has the Premier Host badge. Premier Host is a free invite-only program that recognizes owners and managers who consistently deliver great traveler experiences. And as soon as you meet the eligibility criteria, you will automatically be added to the program. So how do you get to be on Premier Host? It takes a little bit of time, but we can get you there. The first thing, a 4.3 or higher review average rating. And we're going to cover reviews on our next slides, don't worry. You also need a 90% or higher booking acceptance rate. You need a 5% or lower owner-initiated cancel rate, 3 or more reviews, and 5 bookings or 60 booked nights. The Premier Host scorecard located under the performance in your dashboard tracks your progress toward achieving Premier Host status. You can also download a report from the scorecard to learn more about your overall performance. Use the report filters and sort options to identify areas for improvement. Quarterly assessments happen every quarter, and we're going to review your Premier Host status to determine if you still qualify for the program. Now, these assessments take place on February 1st, May 1st, August 1st, and November 1st. We review performance over the past 365 days and remove accounts that no longer qualify. But you'll automatically be added back to the program as soon as your account meets the eligibility criteria again. So, a couple of things to keep in mind. You should really avoid canceling on your travelers. Obviously, situations may arise where this is unavoidable, but please use caution. Canceling on your travelers can negatively impact your ranking metrics on our site. Now, there are numerous benefits to being a part of our Premier Host program. First thing, the Premier badge. Once you become a Premier Host, each listing that you have will have the coveted Premier badge that's visible on your listing. Now, this is something personally that I look for on all of the properties when I book through Vrbo. The Premier Host filter. Many travelers, including myself, will also utilize the Premier Host filter when doing searches for their property. And globally, there are over 500,000 searches that happen every year that are including the Premier Host filter. So it's pretty valuable to be a part of this program. Also, you're going to have access to Boost, and Boost is one of my favorite new tools. The Boost program allows our Premier Host to improve a property's listing position in our search results. Properties in the Boost program are awarded power-up points every time they receive a booking and when a guest completes a stay. And you can use your power-up points to give your listing a boost during the off-season or to promote an upcoming calendar availability. Finally, you also get priority support. Our Premier Hosts get support with expedited 24/7 access. Now, on to my favorite topic, reviews. Why? Reviews drive bookings on Vrbo. And I'm confident in saying that the majority of you watching are gonna look up reviews prior to scheduling a restaurant or a visit to a new restaurant, or when you're looking to go on vacation and stay at a Vrbo as well. And the same thing is done with our travelers. A listing with 1 review is 13 times more likely to receive a booking. And a listing with 20 reviews has an 85% higher conversion rate. Reviews increase your ranking in search results, and it also increases traveler trust. The Vrbo Reviews tool really makes it easy to generate reviews for your listings. So what can you do today to increase your reviews on Vrbo? The first thing, log into the Vrbo dashboard on a weekly basis to work on your review strategy and dedicate at least 15 minutes to it. Request reviews 1 week post-checkout and rate travelers 2 weeks post-checkout. And start talking about reviews at check-in to let the travelers know that a review is expected at the end of this stay. Mention something like, "We hope we're able to deliver a 5-star experience in your welcome guide." You can also mention reviews in your welcome guide and that you look forward to reading their review post-stay. A critical emerging trend is the traveler's thoughtful desire to a response for reviews as well. Almost all travelers, 91%, said that property owners and managers should reply to negative reviews. When a partner replies to a review in a courteous way, guests have an improved impression of the property and are much more likely to book as well. So don't let fear of negative reviews dissuade you from seeking them out. Travelers understand that negative reviews happen. It's how you respond to them that really matters. Only 9% of respondents said that there was nothing properties could do to make them feel more comfortable after reading a negative review. And showing that for most travelers, there's always an opportunity to regain their trust. Well, Jordan and I really want to thank you guys all for joining in on this call today. And here are going to be the key takeaways for you. We want you to optimize revenue performance, think forward, be dynamic, and stay informed to stay ahead. Have at least 30 high-quality images on your listings. Be thorough with your amenities. Highlight traveler trends in your descriptions and headlines. Become a Premier Host and request reviews and rate travelers on a weekly basis. And now we're going to move on to some Q&A, which were submitted by all of you when you're registered. Jordan, take it away.
Thank you, Julia. So the first question we got is, what do you recommend owners do for a pricing strategy? List fees separately or roll them into an overall rental fee? Well, balancing fees and rates can be tricky, especially if you're a property manager for other owners. But when it comes to merchandising your property, balancing fees and rates really comes down to your sales funnel and the guest journey. A lower nightly rate encourages potential guests to click on your listing from the search results. However, high fees can deter potential guests when they're ready to book. The goal here should be to keep nightly rate as low as possible while you still avoid offending potential guests with really high fees. What I tell people to do is review your competitors' listing fees and take note of them. You should target your nightly fees to be equal to or slightly less than their competitors, so you can keep your nightly rates as low as possible without scaring too many guests away. The one exception is if your fees are part of a more complicated length of stay strategy, but we're not going to get into that today.
All right. So, what is a common theme that drives travelers to choose one property over another? Again, I'm going to go back to my favorite subject, reviews. Reviews are one of the biggest decision factors when deciding between two properties. Think about the last time you went out to a new restaurant. I'm going to bet that you made your final decision based on the reviews that you read on Google and Yelp. Vrbo customers act the exact same way. So focus on your review strategy. Log into the Vrbo dashboard on a weekly basis to request reviews and to rate travelers.
So how should you be using Boost to increase bookings? Right, we get this question all the time. And Boost is a great tool in a property manager's tool belt, especially when you're looking to increase bookings without decreasing your rate. Great times to use Boost vary, but you can use it when you're already at your minimum rate and don't want to go lower, when your costs are rising and you don't think you can increase rate to recoup that revenue, during the slow season or low season, or in a really, really competitive market. More strategically, by looking at how adjusting rate affects bookings conversion and how Boost affects traffic can help you mathematically determine when to adjust rates and when to use Boost. In any case, Boost can help you get bookings while avoiding a race to the bottom on your nightly rates.
All right, so how do you suggest we attract consistent 5-star ratings? Well, I have a few recommendations that I like to share with my partners. First, make sure that you have excellent communications with your guests prior to their arrival. Each property should be meticulously clean for incoming guests, and also include a welcome guide with recommendations of things to do and places to visit in the area. And along with the welcome guide, include some nice snacks or a bottle of wine. That experience really does go a long way. And finally, again, I'm going to go back to reviews. Start talking about reviews at the beginning of your stay. Along with a personal note in the welcome guide, say something like, "We hope we are able to deliver a 5-star experience, and we look forward to your review once you're done staying at our property."
And it looks like we have time for one final question. How do you price for peak seasons, but ensure you aren't priced too high for non-peak seasons as well? There are several differences in optimizing revenue performance for peak season versus times with lower demand. Besides the obvious rate increase during peak season, what property managers are trying to do is capitalize on the extra demand, and in slow season, they're trying to capture what little demand there is. Here's what you can do about that. Peak season is usually booked further in advance, so stay on top of your pricing early. For slower periods, don't panic. Expect bookings to come in closer to the stay date. A rising tide raises all boats. And during peak season, there's enough potential guests in the market that you don't have to be super aggressive on your rates and pricing. During slow season, there aren't enough guests to occupy every rental. Competitively positioning your rate to stand out to a limited number of guests looking to book is a way to secure your occupancy. And finally, increased demand also means there's an increase in those looking for longer stays. During peak season, you can raise your minimum length of stay. But during slow season, cast a very wide net and consider lowering your minimum length of stay to appeal to as many potential guests as possible. That's all the content we have for you today. Thank you to all of our partners for attending.
We hope that you found this session to be valuable and that you enjoy the rest of our virtual Partner Summit event. Have a great day, everybody.